Hi, everyone. I hope you're all having a good day so far, wherever you are in the world. My name is Colleen Hudson. I am Director of Representatives for Doman International, and I am filling in today for Spencer, who is in New Zealand, seeing families in Oceania. This is really exciting for our team. It's the first time that Spencer has been able to travel there, and we're looking forward to more visits there. If you give me 1 second, I'm going to go live on Instagram, and that should be working. Excellent. And here we are. Okay, so I'm going to introduce myself one more time for our Instagram folks. Thanks so much for your patience. So today I am filling in for Spencer Doman. My name is Colleen Hudson. I am Director of Representatives for Doman International. Spencer is in New Zealand right now, seeing families in Oceania, and we're really excited to be able to for him to be able to see families live and in person for evaluations. We have a dedicated small group of families from that part of the world who have been doing a Doman Method program with their kids for some years now. And so to be able to see them in person and eventually have more members of our team go there and do full visits is just a really exciting opportunity for us. One of our other staff, Jordan Ernest, is from New Zealand herself. So, of course, this is something near and dear to her heart. And we're just really, really happy to have that. But for those of you who are joining me today, I'm going to assume you're probably not from Australia or New Zealand, because I think it's very, very early in the morning there. If you'd like to, in the comments, put your country of origin, love to see that. Always fun to see where people are tuning in from. So today I am going to begin by talking just a little bit about my background, and then I'm going to talk to you about our Doman Method appointments, what those look like, and how you can find out more. And then I'm very happy to take questions from the audience. I love this part of Start the Week with Spencer, being able to engage directly with families. So please don't be shy. Put your questions into the comment box, and I'll get to them as I can. I am not a clinic staff member. I have lots of experience with the Doman Method as a kid and as a mother, but I don't have clinical background, but I certainly can get you pointed in the right direction. Okay. So, as I mentioned, I have a lot of experience with the Doman Method as a kid. My parents first learned about the work of Glenn Doman when I was 4 years old in 1979. It's a funny story actually. My mother was going a little stir crazy at home. There were three of us under 5 years old, and then she became pregnant with my youngest brother not too long after that. And she said that she knew we were smart. Anybody who's spent time around little kids knows they're smart and raging to learn, but she really didn't know exactly what to do about it. So she was sort of caught in the maintenance trap. And my father heard an ad on the radio. It wasn't actually a commercial ad, it was a public service announcement about Glenn Doman's work, and that they were giving a course for parents. It was a week-long course at that time, and we lived near to the institutes where Glenn was working at the time. And so my father said to my mom, "Why don't you go and take this course? It sounds like a lot of fun, and you'd be home every night." And she said, "Oh, who's going to look after the kids for a whole week?" My father said, "I'll do it, no problem." So my mother said at that point she really didn't care what the course was about. To get a week to just focus on herself, and sit in an auditorium was fine with her. But very quickly they figured out that this was something truly life changing. And it changed our lives in several ways. Number one, my parents finally knew what to do with regard to, fostering our intelligence and our curiosity and, our innate love of learning about everything. But they also realized in learning about how the brain develops that my sister was struggling in ways that were not, typical. And people had been telling them, oh, she'll grow out of it, issues she was having, sensitivities, really next to no speech. She was 3 years old and only had a few words. And people said, well, this is natural. She's 3 years old. Her older sister does all the talking. These things happen. She'll grow out of it. But I think, as many of you know, um, that parental gut feeling that something's not quite right is something to listen to. And usually when parents come to us for the first time, I ask them, when did you first realize that your child had a problem? Assuming they hadn't been diagnosed at birth. And parents, usually mothers, will tell me, I knew very early. I had a feeling when my kid was very small, maybe just 6 months old, that something was a little off. And then I thought, well, maybe it's just me. And people told me, oh, it's just you, you're overreacting. Now, mothers who have older children usually will say, oh, I definitely knew. And it was just a matter of figuring out, is this something that we can handle at home, that we can help them grow out of, or is it something that needs more more intense intervention. Um, so my parents learned about how the brain grows and develops, and that was really what changed our lives. Glenn said in his book, How to Teach Your Baby to Read, he talks about the magic of teaching your child and of understanding their development and being able to support and foster it in a way that's just loving and natural. And he says the magic is not in the cardboard or the magic markers. The magic is in the child. And I think it's also in the parents. The parents know. So my parents went to work and they went back to Glenn and they said, we need to learn more. They took another course about brain development and they learned the steps they needed to take to help my sister to overcome the issues she was having. This actually caused some problems within our family because my grandparents honestly thought my parents had gone off the deep end. They said, she's fine, everything's fine, what are you worried about? And also, all of this sounds nutty. And my parents said, no, we know. And they were very young, but they knew. And so that started us on a lifelong journey, but in terms of the intensiveness of our program, doing everything that they could to help her, that began about a year of really just living and breathing this program. When I say that, though, it's not as if we did nothing else in our lives. It was, we were kids and we were living a normal family life, but being able to incorporate the activities, the treatments that my sister needed into all of our lives, really, it made everything flow well because everything had to feed off of everything else, but also it was an opportunity for all of us to kind of be rowing in the same direction. So that was, I don't remember all of that nitty gritty. Obviously, I was 4 and 5 years old. What I remember is that we were always doing something, a lot of physical activity. We were always reading, we were always learning. And my parents made time for lots of things on the weekends. We were always going to museums or the zoo or, doing fun runs. And so they also changed our diet quite a lot. Which at the time was very strange because we had to go to the health food store to buy food because that kind of food wasn't readily available, natural, like real food. It wasn't as readily available in the regular grocery store in 1980. But through all of that, they just understood the underlying cause of my sister's issues. They said the root is the brain. We need to treat the brain, and that's what we're going to do. And it was tremendous. And within a year, she was talking no problem, running no problem. She was learning to ride a bike. She was we were doing tumbling. She was reading. All of us were reading. And so that really was completely transformative. And my parents have said that they know in their guts that if they hadn't learned about this when they did, that my sister probably would have gone into school. We all went into regular school eventually, and that she would have been labeled, or worse yet, she might miraculous in a way, because his recovery from this traumatic brain injury was nothing short of miraculous, but it was all down to my parents really digging in and doing a full neurological program with him. You know, to get him back to walking, talking. He was able to drive a car after about 2 years. He got back behind the wheel. But you know, really incredible to have had that all in my life. So obviously, I've carried that with me my whole life, and my daughter, who's now 20, has benefited from that. We taught her to read when she was very small. She did gymnastics, and it just it's yeah, it's a really important parenting journey. I think it can give parents the confidence to do what they already know they need to do, but lacking the steps, you know, you can feel like you're trying to figure it all out from scratch, and you don't have to because the information's there. So that's my background. But I'd like to talk to you about the work of Doman International, and specifically our work, of course, with you know, parents of brain injured kids and kids with special needs, and you know, in our appointments, how we structure the way that we teach families, because teaching parents to be the best therapists, if you like, for their kids has always been the heart of the Doman Method. Glenn realized very early on that parents were the answer, not the problem. Parents who are asking a lot of questions are the answer, not the problem. You know, and that a determined family working with the right information put together in the right way for their child's needs is going to be 1,000 times more effective than any other therapy team. And it doesn't matter how caring those people are or how skilled they are, how knowledgeable, because our staff are very skilled, very caring, very knowledgeable, and they never give up on any kid. We've never had a child so severe that the staff said, nope, there's no way we can do anything for them. Um, and we've never had a condition that is so unusual that the staff said, oh, we're not sure what we can do about that. Our staff will dig in and they will figure out answers for every kid. But at the end of the day, parents and families are the ones who are never, ever, ever going to go away. You know, so we know that, we respect that, and we never waste anyone's time. So everything that we do is directed specifically to what your child needs, and we just make sure that you have the information you need really to fly with your kid. You know, because 20 years from now, our staff, I mean, some of them will still be here doing the same work, you know, hopefully even better and with better results. But 20 years from now, we may not know where your kid is, but you will. And so obviously we need to give you the information that you need to carry forward. We're not in the business of making lifelong clients. We want parents to be fully empowered, knowing that we're always here. You can always come back and, you know, get in touch. And it's actually really exciting. Since the Doman Method has been around for 70 years, I get the privilege most of the time, since my email address is the most basic, the info@domaninternational.org, I get the great privilege of hearing from people who did this program 20, 30 years ago. I get those kinds of emails a few times a month from parents, sometimes from graduates, who say, oh, yeah, I was on the Doman program, and it, you know, it was hard, but it changed my life. And that's really exciting. So it's a wonderful thing to know that people can find us and always come back. But ultimately, we're, you know, we're giving you the information that you can really move forward in your life and your child's life with that knowledge, and be able to apply it as things come up in life, as they do. So for families who are looking at getting started with the Doman Method, the first best step, I think, is our book. Spencer always has the books available. I don't have them with me today, I'm sorry, but the Doman Method, From Special Needs to Wellness, is our first book. And that that covers really every special need. It's regardless of your kid's diagnosis, if you're interested in a holistic neurodevelopmental approach, what we do, then the Doman Method is a spectacular place to start. It covers everything, all the foundations. It teaches you how to evaluate your child, and to start putting things into place to help improve their function. But if your child has a diagnosis of autism or ADD or ADHD, we also have um, Answering Autism, which is our other book. And the main difference between the Doman Method book and Answering Autism book is the Doman Method book goes into mobility quite a bit because many of the children we work with are immobile, or do not move well, or cannot move independently. And so mobility is a huge area of concern for them. So we address that. For children who have an autism diagnosis or who are on that spectrum, mobility usually isn't an issue for them. Now, physical development still is a part of every program that we design because the brain is getting signals from our physical activity, and we have specific physical exercises that we recommend based on the child's needs. So, if your child has an autism diagnosis, they're probably going to have a, a running program, or that's great for oxygenation. And don't, when we mention these things, don't get intimidated if you're like, oh, I'm not a runner and my kid runs all the time, but not under controlled circumstances. Again, our staff do have years and years of experience, so they've got lots of tips to help you. When they designed the program, they will give you all of those tips and hints, and they're there all the time to answer your questions. So, um, but but the Entering Autism book does not dwell as much on the getting your child mobile part of things, just because for the most part, kids with that diagnosis can already walk and run. Sometimes not so well, but they do, and we can work on that. But the autism book goes, just goes more into sensory things, speech and communication, although that is a concern for most of the families we work with too. So yeah, but my point is that if your child has, uh, if you bought the Doman Method book already, let's say you ordered it yesterday and you didn't realize there was an Answering Autism book, the Doman Method book is a great place to start. So you haven't wasted any time. But if you're looking at books and your child does have an autism or ADD or ADHD diagnosis, then Answering Autism is probably the way to start. Okay. We are always here for questions. So you can always email me with any questions about the Doman Method, about our appointments. The email is info, I-N-F-O, at domaninternational.org. When Spencer's here, he knows how to put it up on the screen. I don't know how to do that. I'm sorry. But I will repeat it again at the end of the session. But the the way that families get started, as I said, reading the book is a great place to begin. But you don't even have to read the book if you're a busy parent, which I'm sure the vast majority of you are. We have, of course, this webinar every week. Usually Spencer is here. We usually have parents who are answering questions. Often we have parents who are answering questions about their child's program, or asking questions so that we can answer them live, which is a lot of fun. But we see families for appointments all year round. So this is really what I want to talk to you about. As I mentioned at the beginning, Spencer is in Australia right now. He and Jordan are, pardon me, they're New Zealand now. He was in Australia last week. They are seeing families there. They will be conducting evaluations. And based on that evaluation, they and the rest of the team are going to design a program for each child. So the Doman Method program is holistic. We cover every area of development in order to treat the brain directly. And every kid that we see, even if they have the same diagnosis, even if they're the same age, the same sex, everything same, uh, each child has to have their own unique plan. And we know this from our years of experience. And this is why a lot of the treatments that families have tried in the past haven't been as successful as they'd hoped, because something is missing. You have to address every area of a child's development in order to get the results that you're really looking for. The brain is so complex, and there are so many different ways to get messages into the brain. But if we're not doing it in the right way, in the right order for your child's specific neurological needs that are completely their own, like a fingerprint, if we're not doing that, then it's we're not going to get the kind of improvements that you're hoping for. And one of the things that our staff are always concerned about is time. Glenn said time is the enemy of the brain injured child, the child with special needs. And he said it's because every day they're not getting better, they're getting worse. They're falling further behind their well peers. Um, and our staff are very cognizant of that fact. And they know that parents are always thinking about it too. There's always that little panicky thought in the back of your. Hi, I'm back. So sorry about that. Uh, internet. So as I was saying, the appointments when we do the evaluation, when the staff does the evaluation for your child, that is the opportunity that we have to really get to the heart of what's going on with your kid. So once they've done that evaluation, they will meet with you and talk to you about what your day-to-day schedule looks like. Um, the key part of that is knowing that you're going to get a program designed for your schedule, your life, as well as what your child needs, because our staff are really concerned with making sure that, again, no time is wasted, um, but that you can manage this initial program for sure, so that you feel successful, that you feel confident. And the staff are there all the time to answer your questions, but they really want to make sure that this is going to be a plan that works for your life and your child's life. Because over time you'll scale it up. Over time, everything will become more and more natural and intuitive. But in the beginning, you do need to have step-by-step help. So they will design then the plan for your child based on the evaluation they've done, which gives them a very precise picture of what your kid's brain needs, and also the conversation with you where you've talked about your goals, both short term and long term, and then also what your day to day looks like. So the program is going to be manageable for you to do, and then they'll teach you how to start fitting it in. It's not like here's a stack of recommendations. Good luck figuring that out. Our team is going to be very involved in every step. So after you've had that program designed, your appointment, which is typically 3 days when you come to see us in person, will have 2 more days of learning how to do each aspect of the program. So you will meet with a member of the physical team, and they're going to teach you in great detail every step of the program. The same with the cognitive team, the nutritional team, the respiratory team. They'll be talking about sensory things, and all of these aspects of your child's development working together. Because they're also going to teach you how everything fits. It isn't here's a whole pile of things from the physical department. Oh, here's a whole pile of things in addition from the cognitive department, et cetera. Um, it's all integrated. So those 3 days, if you can come to see us in person, which we would love, those 3 days are going to be the beginning of a very close relationship with staff, and specifically with your staff coach. Every family is assigned one member of staff to be their personal liaison. So even though the whole team works together to create your plan, it is the individual staff coach who is your go-to. And if you have a question that they feel they want another staff member to weigh in on, they're going to go to that staff member and get the answers for you. But you know that you always have someone who has your back and will get the answers to the questions that you have that are specific to your child and your needs. Okay, and that's a 6-month period after that initial appointment. And the reason it's a 6-month period, we have learned that 6 months is a really good length of time to make this program into a habit, to form new habits, to start to feel like this is an organic part of your life now. But it's also a really good amount of time to start seeing changes and improvements. Um, we can never guarantee what any child's improvement is going to be. It would be irresponsible of us to do that. What we can guarantee, though, is that we will design a plan that is specifically geared to your child's needs, because we do that initial evaluation, which is so key, and that we will also not give up. Um, sometimes we meet, every kid we work with teaches us something, and we're always learning. Our staff are very creative people, and they're very open-minded, because they know that there's a lot to learn always. So every now and then we'll have a kid who the staff will design their program, they'll get started, and maybe a month or two goes by and parents are like, we're really doing this, you know, as dedicated in a way we can, and we're happy about that, but we're just not seeing the kinds of changes that we thought we would. The staff and then are going to drill down and say, yeah, let's see why this is. Sometimes it's a matter of tweaking the diet. Sometimes it's a matter of how's your kid sleeping. Sometimes this sounds, I mean, it doesn't sound wild, I don't think, to any of you, but because more and more people know about air quality, water quality, things like that. But we've had instances in the past where children weren't improving the way we thought that they would, and it turned out that they had their water tested, and maybe the chlorine was off the charts, and the kid has a bath every night before bed. That's part of their bedtime routine. And when we filter the bath water, sometimes that can make a big enough change that parents start to see, then, oh, things are moving forward now. So my point in that is not that you need to go test your water. My point is that our staff never give up, and they do have such a wealth of experience and knowledge that and we work with so many people even outside of our immediate staff who have incredible insight into the different ways that children develop, the ways that our environment can act on our neurological and physical development. That we're just always looking for new and better answers to take what we know to be true. The Doman Method, the foundation of it is always going to be real because it's based in brain development. And Glenn and his team traveled the world for, I think it was 2 years, studying children in every culture because they knew they needed to have a baseline of development for what kids could do or what they should be doing at certain times. And they knew that they couldn't just measure kids in New York, or Tokyo, or Paris, because you need to go to as many areas as possible, as many cultures as possible, to study children who grow up in all different kinds of circumstances, because only then can you find the universal truths that have to do with human development and are not influenced so much by culture. Or are influenced by culture. That was one of the things too. They learned about the way that children were raised in different areas based sometimes on the physical environment, the terrain. For instance, children raised in the rainforests of Brazil were, they grew up differently, obviously, for a number of reasons. And so all of that work culminated in an understanding of human brain development, which is unmatched, I think, in the world. So my point is, you're in good hands because our staff have the legacy of that information, and they're going to share it with you, and you'll understand then, even as your child grows and develops, you'll have a really good handle as things come up about, oh, why is this and why is that. And it's incredible once you have the information about that kind of development and the root cause of some issues. It's tremendously empowering as a parent. So we leave no stone unturned. And that 6-month period after that initial visit is really key because you will have all of the information you need, but you'll have your staff coach, and your staff coach wants to hear from you as much as possible. They don't want you languishing with questions unanswered. So our staff will be sure to make sure that you have the right guidance. So our appointments, a 3-day appointment that is live, those are all year round, pretty much, in at our offices just outside of Philadelphia. So we are always welcoming families. Every week, a new crew of families arrives. Our appointments are usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Occasionally, we'll have them at different times of the week if there's a major holiday on a Monday. But typically, our appointments are Monday to Wednesday. So that's one option. Another option that we offer in various places is the the live evaluation with remote program. And that is what's going on it's what Spencer was doing in Australia. He did several evaluations with families there. And then, based on his evaluation, the team is going to design a program for each of those kids, but then they will teach the family remotely online how to do that program. And our staff are really good at teaching remote programs now. I mean, our ideal is always to see the kids in person, right? Because there's something very special about being together, for you to be able to meet the staff, to shake their hands, for you and your child to be able to experience the physical development program in person. That the staff can really be eyes, and give you that kind of feedback immediately. But being able to do these appointments remotely has truly been a game changer. So many families who would never have had the opportunity to work with our staff before are now doing great programs with their kids. And some of them have never been to see us in person at all, because we do all remote appointments. So yeah, I guess in the hierarchy, our preference is always to see you in person, but the remote appointment, or even the live evaluation with a remote appointment, is a very viable option, because we understand too, travel is really tough. And when you have kids, it's tough, and when your child has special needs, it's tougher. So we try to be as flexible as possible so that you can get what you need from us and from our team. So those are the options for our appointments. I would also be remiss if I did not mention our European campus. We have a very beautiful, it's a villa with several other buildings in Tuscany. It's about 20 minutes from Pisa. I was there for the first time last summer, and it was such an amazing opportunity. And it's really, our offices in Conshohocken, outside Philadelphia, are of course our main headquarters, and that's where we see most of our families, especially in the U.S. But our campus in Italy has such a different feel. It's almost like a little camp. It's out in the countryside. The air is so clean. There's a small town. It's in a small town called Pavia, so it's about 5-minute drive from the center of town. And because our campus has been there for, I think, 35 years now, maybe more. I think it's 35. The the everyone who lives in the town knows about the campus there. They know about our work, and they're very welcoming to our families. So it's a spectacular place for a visit for your child. And we actually, because we're in the countryside, we have a kitchen there. We have a dining room for our families. So it's even a little more clubby than our offices, outside Philadelphia, because everybody is together. We have a gymnasium there, and it's just a really wonderful opportunity. If you live in Europe, I mean, or honestly, if you live in the United States and fancy a European vacation, I flew into London and then took EasyJet to Pisa. It was really a good trip. Yeah, our European campus is our option for our families in Europe primarily, and it's the same experience. Our whole team goes there. We're there 4 times a year. So in January, April, July, and October, we see our families there, and so you get the full experience. You have the whole team traveling, not just from the U.S., but our European staff as well meet there. And because we're so well established, it feels like home. So it's a great opportunity to see us there too. I will say we have a waiting list right now for our April appointments, if any of you are thinking about that. And but we are booking for July and then October as well. We don't want anybody to miss out by waiting too long. If you are considering appointments with us, and let's say you're looking at your calendar and thinking, well, we couldn't get to them until July, I still highly recommend getting in touch with me, because our appointments are filling up, And we have specific weeks each month that we see initial families, because not everybody comes back every 6 months, but enough of our families do that we, of course, have to allow time for them in the schedule. So we have specific weeks that we have designated for initial families. Our doctor is there to do a physical examination, because we do that at the beginning of every program as well. And it's those weeks are filling up. So even if you're looking at your calendar and saying, yeah, we could probably get to Philadelphia in July, um, then call me or email me. I'll mention the contact information again. The reason is, if you enroll now, if you register for your appointment, in a few months time, you won't just be sitting at home waiting for that magic date. We have a lot of information to share with you before you even get to see us. So we have recorded lectures that explain more about the foundations of the Doman Method. They're really, really helpful when it comes to your appointment, because if you've had a chance to see those lectures, you're going to come into your appointment with a thorough understanding of what the staff are looking for, and you will be able to provide the vital home perspective. You know, none of none of our staff ever forget that they're not the parent. Um, our staff are very knowledgeable, very skilled, but also very humble, and they know that even with all of their experience and knowledge, the world's leading experts in your child uh, are you, your spouse, and then your family. And our staff really want to partner with you to get the right answers for your kids. So when you know what they're looking for and you come into the appointment with that knowledge and understanding, you're completely, it's an equal partnership, really. The staff are going to take you through they're going to do the evaluation, but you're going to know every step of the way what they're looking for. So that makes a very powerful result for your child, a very thorough result. And the other thing is that even though you'll be getting that information and the staff won't have met your child yet, you're going to have your staff coach right away. Last week I registered a family, and they're coming in June, and they have their staff coach now. They started watching those lectures, but they're starting to get answers for their child immediately. There are some things that they can put in place at home before they get to us in June. So that means when they walk through the door, they're going to know what we're looking for. They're going to have started some things already. They'll know their staff coach. So by the time you meet them in person, it's like your old friends. And that's really nice too, because it can be, our staff are very warm and they love kids. They're great with kids, but certainly it feels better for a child when their parent doesn't feel nervous, right? Obviously, our kids sense our moods. They have an idea of what we're thinking and feeling. And if we can give them the confidence that, oh, it's Julie, we know Julie, we love Julie, we're finally getting to meet her in person, it really sets our kids up for a very positive experience, that these people are good friends of ours now, and we're gonna have a nice time with them for the next few days. So um, so if I'm making it sound very sweet, it's because it is. We are so happy and privileged to be able to work with, with all of you, with all of our families, and it really is a very joyous process. We know that what we do is effective, and we know we have answers for your kid, and we know that for a lot of you, you've been looking for a very, very long time. So we're here to give you that confidence and to help you to get going. So I have now given an extremely long lecture. I have to apologize for the technical difficulties. Again, I'm so sorry. My internet decided to conk out on me, as it will. It shouldn't make a difference, but we're having extreme winds here today, so I'm thinking that might have been part of it, but I do apologize. Let me give my contact information one more time, and then I'm going to see if we've got any questions. My contact email is info, INFO, at domaninternational.org. And my phone number is +1 814 232 8668. I will say though, if you didn't write all those things down or you're scrambling for a paper or something, don't worry. If you send us a direct message through Facebook or Instagram, those come to me directly. If you go to our website and fill out a contact form looking for more information, those come to me specifically. There is no one else. If you're in India, I will forward them to our representative in India, Jagjit. She is also a clinic staff member, so she's very knowledgeable. And if Spanish is your primary language, or if your family members would like to have options in Spanish, or Italian, or Serbian, or Russian, let me know. And because we have representatives who speak those languages, so we can help you out. Okay, so let me see if we've got any questions. I don't know that we do. Oh, this is wonderful. I've got so many nice people. Oh dear, I see that somebody asked, is the video over? And I feel badly about that, but we did come back, so hopefully they didn't leave us. Do we have any questions at all? Any comments? Or anyone who's on our program right now who has something to share? I think next week, I'm not actually sure what we're doing next week, so I don't want to say. I know that we do have lined up in the next few weeks. We have a couple of parents lined up who are going to be coming to speak about their experience on the Doman Method program. So I think that's so valuable. Their child's results certainly, but as parents, what their experience is like. Parenting it's something. It's really something. I was telling someone the other day, a friend of ours just had a new baby. He and his fiance, they're much younger than I am, but I said, he was saying, I can't believe I'm a dad. This is crazy. I said, it is, but I said, it's the most incredible thing you'll ever do in your entire life. And he said, I can already tell, So we respect that fact that it's can be fun too. It should be fun. I think that's something to keep in mind about the Doman Method as well, that we're always striving to support our families so that you can find the joy and you can have the fun, and that it's never doom and gloom with us. That's actually something a mother said 2 weeks ago. She came for her initial appointment, and she said, this is the first time that I've ever had interactions with professionals, to help my kid, where there wasn't a little tinge of doom and gloom. Because her child has a pretty severe diagnosis, but it's it's just in the brain. It's just neurological. And so having concrete steps, knowing exactly what's going on with her kid, um, is really, really helping her, she said, to find that joy again and that enthusiasm. Oh, wonderful, Sandra. That is such a great question. So Morgan Doman has a parent support group. Yeah, that is fantastic. So in our efforts to help families to feel truly supported, to help moms feel supported, dads, with ideas, but also just like, how are you doing? What have you done for yourself this week? What are some big issues that you've been facing as a parent that we can all talk about? So Morgan Doman has an amazing parent support group for families who are on the Doman Method program. And so at the same time as you're pursuing this very ambitious, plan for your kid, and working with our staff, you have to be supported too. And your staff coach is there for that. But Morgan's group really has a different focus. It's very much on, parents, how are you doing? And it's not, let's all complain necessarily. Although if there are complaints, let's talk that out and see how we can all kind of help to feel better. It's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that alone is a great opportunity, or a great reason to get working with us. I think is Morgan's parent group. She's a certified life coach, as well as a clinic staff member, and she, of course, is Glenn Doman's granddaughter. And Morgan's just wonderful at just getting right to the heart of things, um, and helping families feel like they can do this. So yeah, Morgan Doman's parent support group is awesome. So Sandra, the Gemini application for speech. I am so sorry. I do not know the answer to that question. I'm sorry. What I will do though, Sandra, I can ask the staff and get back, because I know you particularly. Yeah, I'm going to ask the staff and get back to you specifically about that. Okay, because and that's actually interesting. Now it's something, like I said, we're always learning, and I'm always learning more about what we do. So there's always more to learn. All right. Oh, Jennifer, excellent question. What can I tell families with brain injured kids who can't afford to do the course or the program? That is a very, very good question. Um, so the book, the book, the book, the book. And I know that's hard. Sometimes parents say, I don't have time to read a book. It's for any of you who have read the book. I mean, look, I'm a reader and I love to read. And sometimes I will confess to neglecting things that I ought to do in order to read. I don't do that as much as I used to when I was younger, but still it happens. But families should buy the book and read the book, because the book was written for that purpose. Glenn wrote his first book, What to Do About Your Brain Injured Child. Well, it wasn't his first book. His first book was How to Teach Your Baby to Read. But when Glenn wrote What to Do About Your Brain Injured Child, he wrote it because he had a waiting list so long, and he had started giving a course, but that was also full. And he knew that there were families who just were never going to be able to find their way to Philadelphia, because, of course, at that time, the course was only in person, and it was a week long. And so for many families, like, there's no way. We're not going somewhere for a week. We're not going to Philadelphia. This is crazy. So he wrote the book to teach families what he was doing, because ultimately it is the parents doing this program. So, even though working with the staff is like a great jump start to everything, we can help to get those shortcuts where you need them. But have so much parents really clue in, I think, when you start reading the book and you're looking at your own child and you're thinking, wait, how does this apply to them? You really can get things in place that are going to change not only the way that you look at your child and relate to them, but the things that you're doing with them, and even the way you're doing their therapies and treatments. I know a lot of families are able to do certain uh, programs and treatments because it's paid for. It's part of their maybe county services or things. And they're like, yeah, we don't really think it's as effective as it could be, but it's what we have, and that's totally fair. But if they understand the way their child's brain develops by reading the book, if they do the evaluation in the book, they're going to be able to make those therapies more effective for their child. Um, and then they can come to Start the Week with Spencer. Everybody is welcome to this session. Today you get me, so you don't get any clinical advice, but most of the time it's Spencer or Melissa, or, we've got staff, and we intend this to be a free resource for families who may not be able to come and see us for an appointment. And it's perfectly okay for them to say, hey, I've read the book. I don't think I can come for an appointment, but I have these questions. Spencer's going to answer them. So please encourage them to join us for these sessions, and we can start helping them get things underway. Okay. Thank you for that question. That's a really good question. It weighs on us too. Um, it weighs on us too. Yeah. But the book is comprehensive, and I really do think that parents who read the book and then start coming to this session are going to find themselves getting you know getting a different mindset for their kid, and then making some big changes, or little changes that'll help. Okay. All right. Let me check the Instagram. I don't see any other oh, what's the newest therapy added to the Doman program? Oh, Annabella, that is a great question. I don't know. Oh, thanks, Jennifer. I don't know. I don't know what the newest one is. I know that like I know Safe and Sound Protocol, for instance, is not very old. Um, but and that's not one of our programs. It's something that one of our families brought to us. It is a program of auditory stimulation that helps to stimulate the vagus nerve, which helps with so many different things. And that added to our program has really made a big difference for a lot of kids. It's not indicated for everybody, but the kids who have been using it, I know, have seen tremendous like leaps in their program. It's not one of those, it's not a like a one time, it's not a magic pill, but in concert with other things, it has made an incredible difference in many aspects of our program. So Safe and Sound is one of those things that came to us though because a family had heard about it, they tried it, they said, wow, we're really seeing some great results. Spencer has said before that he generally, if 2 or 3 families come to him saying, hey, we've been trying this and we're actually seeing some improvements, then he definitely looks into it because there are always new things coming down the pike, and some of them are effective and some of them aren't, and some of them are complementary, and others. I mean, almost anything that is effective is going to be complementary to what we do, just because we cover so like all the bases, but there are also things that kind of target areas that pull it all together. So yeah, but I have to find out what the newest program is that we've been using. That's a really good question. Thank you. I'm going to ask that. So Sandra, I'm going to ask about Gemini for you, and then Annabella, I'm going to ask what's the newest treatment program for you, and I'll mention it to Spencer too. So next week maybe he can even mention it in the live, so that everybody gets the answers to those questions. Okay. Well, folks, I see that we are at the end of our time. I thank you all so much for bearing with me, and I thank you for joining me. It's been a lot of fun, and we will see you. We'll see you on the other side. We'll see you next week. Oh, Fatima, there is no age limit. No, the Doman method is effective for all ages, in different ways. But my grandfather, who had a severe car accident, was over 50, and he was in a coma. I mean, he was very severely brain injured, and he was able to learn to walk again, talk again, uh, drive a car. So, there is no. It's Glenn's work began with elderly stroke patients, so there's definitely no limit um, to the age. Okay, that's a great question too. All right, folks, thank you so much, and we will see you next week. Thank you. Bye bye.